Hello, Mrs. Ehlke here.
With Olivia.
Olivia, how old are you, Olivia?
6.
Olivia is 6 years old and she wanted to get all Christmassy with a Christmas tree. So we did a fancy Christmas tree. We used marker or crayon and paint, okay? Hold up your Christmas tree. Awesome. Check out these colors. Are these not awesome? All right, so we used lines. We could make them with a ruler if you want. And then we added the paint afterwards. So if you've got all that stuff ready, let's get painting.
Painting.
All right, and if you like our videos, what should they do?
Subscribe down below and hit that button.
Hit that button, all right? We'll see you later.
Bye. Mwah.
To start off our picture, I'm going to be using a Sharpie, and it's important that it's a Sharpie and not any other kind of marker because we're going to add water later. And Olivia is going to show you with a crayon, okay? Because you can do it with either one. We're going to start off with a dot in the middle on the top of our paper. Good. We're going to do another dot that comes close to the side but not quite, and then I also want to leave a little bit of space on the bottom, so I'm going to put one right there and one right there. So I've got 3 dots. Good. Now I'm going to do one more dot just a little bit below this one right there. All right, now I'm going to connect the dots. Now if you want to, you can use a ruler, but if you want to just freehand it, that's fine too. So Olivia says she wants to just freehand it. So we're going to start with the bottom dot, and we're going to draw a line over to the dot on the side. Good. Then we're going to draw a line that goes across to the dot on the right. And then we're going to do a line to go back up to the top dot like that. So we have a triangle. Good. Now I'm going to make an upside down V, really small, like that. And then I'm going to go out to the side like that. Back in like that. Good. And then I'm going to make a V that goes down and connects to the top part of my tree like that. So I have a star. Good. All right, now the tree right now is floating, so it needs a tree trunk. Can you add a tree trunk?
Yeah.
By doing a square or a rectangle underneath the triangle. All right, now we're going to make this a little bit fancier, okay? And this is how. If you want to, you can use a ruler, but you don't have to. I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to start making lines that go all the way across my paper right through the middle of my tree. Okay, so you have to kind of hold the ruler with one hand and try to make it so it doesn't slide while you're using it. Yep, so now make another one. Good, and we'll do some going up and down, so make a line right there. Good, make one right here. Yeah, and maybe over here. We're just going to try to fill our page with a bunch of crazy lines. And notice that the lines start on one side of the paper and they go all the way across to the other side of the paper. So now I'm going to see if I can catch up with Olivia here and add some lines to my picture. And you can do as many lines or as few lines as you want. I wouldn't do so many because each of these shapes is going to kind of be colored a little bit differently. So if you do tons of lines, you're going to be here all day trying to color them all in. All right, that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and finish adding a bunch of lines through mine like that. All right, so once we have all these lines through our pictures, we're going to go ahead and add some color. And to do that, we're using watercolor and some watercolor brushes. And we're gonna start with, go ahead, pick a brush, any brush. We're gonna start with some green. So I've got some green paint and I'm just gonna get it wet with water. And the fun thing is, now our, now our Christmas tree has all these different shapes inside of it. So we can take a green and color each shape maybe a little bit differently. Like I'm gonna make my first couple shapes light green, like that. And then maybe I'll make some other shapes a different shade of green, like a darker green. Now when you're working with watercolor, you got to be careful. If I do two shapes that are right next to each other, they can kind of bleed into one another. So if you do colors that are the same, it's not as big of a deal, like two shades of green. But if you're doing green and maybe red, you might want to wait for that shape to dry first. So I'm just going to start by filling in some of these colors. You might want to do just inside of your tree first, and then we'll do the outside of the tree different colors. So see if you can get greens inside of your trees. Can you add lots of different greens in there?
Oh, yes.
That's okay. So I'm just trying to use a couple different greens. You can see my colors are bleeding together. If you use crayon, it's probably better. They don't bleed as much, where the marker, sometimes they bleed more. And I'm just trying to do different shades inside of each section. Now that we have our trees filled in, we're going to start adding colors to our background. Now I was thinking it might be fun just to do different shades of warm colors like reds and oranges, but you could really do anything that you would like. Olivia is trying to do lots of different colors in her background, so she's filling them in with lots of different colors. And that works too. When working with watercolor, you might want to kind of jump around a little bit so that the different shapes have some time to dry. If you work right next to each other, they can kind of bleed together. And if you don't want your colors mixing, you may want to kind of bounce around some. So I'm trying to kind of jump around and do different shapes here, and then let them dry before I paint right next to them. I think I'm going to stick with Christmassy colors of red and green. Now Olivia and I are filling ours in with watercolor, but if you don't have watercolor at home, you could also do this by using Crayola markers or other washable markers, and you could add a little bit of marker coloring inside each section and then add some water, and that kind of gives a watercolor feel as well. So Mom, if you want to try that.
Can't it mess up on that, but it kind of looks kind of pretty.
Yeah, so your colors blended together because they weren't dry, but sometimes it works out, right? It looks kind of cool.
It looks pretty.
And that does look pretty. Yellow and red, when mixed together, make what color? What color are they making? Yeah, that looks pretty cool. All right, so we're gonna keep on adding colors to our backgrounds to make them look super cool. So you can see Olivia and I have been working hard filling in our shapes. We're getting closer and closer to finishing up. Now we're just kind of adding in some more background colors, and then I'm starting to add in some of my details on the tree, like my star, which of course is yellow, and now I'm working on my tree trunk with some brown. We hope you enjoyed this video with us, and we hope that your project looks super awesome. What do you think of this project, Olivia?
Good.
Is it a fun one? Olivia is concentrating very hard on her painting. Looks pretty awesome. There's some spray to help you. So you can see, because Olivia used crayon, the wax of the crayon kind of helps stop the watercolor from moving to the next shape. So that's kind of a neat effect. But the marker works well too, as long as it's a Sharpie. And you can see that even though some of our spaces kind of blended into each other, it still looks pretty cool. So we'll have to figure out a place to hang these up so that we can enjoy them all Christmas season long. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel, and so that you can get notifications on when we put more fun painting and drawing tutorials. We'll see you next time.